Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlene and today I'm going to be doing a book unhaul. I have a couple boxes of books that I am planning to get rid of, and I thought before I got them out of my house that I would share them with you on here. I have some kids books, some Christian nonfiction books, and some fiction books. I will leave timestamps down in the description below, so if you're interested in some of them and not others, you can skip around. But without further ado, let's get into this video because there's quite a few books here. So starting with the children's books. The first couple books I have are ones that I bought for our homeschool that either we used and we don't need anymore, or we didn't use, but I think I found something better. And the first book is The Human Body, and we were studying parts of the human body in our homeschool last year, and that's what I got this book for. We're done with that, so I don't really need this book anymore, so it's going to be going away. But this was a pretty nice book. It has a whole lot of details on it, and the part that I liked about it the most was when you started getting into dropping books. When you started getting into the different parts of the body, and it had these overlays where you could see the muscles, you could see the bones, the blood vessels, all that kind of stuff. So this was a nice book to have, but we're done with it. And then the other book we didn't actually use, but that is Sign Language for Everyone. And I was thinking about using this because we did ASL in our homeschool last year and we're going to do it next year. But as I was reading through this book at one point, it started talking about some things with deaf culture, and I went, is that really still a thing? Because it was talking about deaf people going to asylums and stuff, and I went, that can't still be a thing, right? Yeah, this book was written in 1977. So I wanted to get a book that's a little more up to date than this one. So this one's going to go. All right, the rest of these are just kids' books, and mostly books that my kids have decided they don't have an interest in, or I've just decided not to keep them on our shelves for one reason or another. The first one is this one, which might surprise you. This is My Bible Stories Treasury. And the reason I'm getting rid of this one is because we have a lot of different children's Bibles. I think we still have at least 4 different types of children's Bibles, aside from this one. And I went through all of them to see is there a reason to keep each one of them? And this was the only one I came across that I thought, I don't really see a reason to keep it. So unfortunately this one's going to go, but I'm sure somebody out there will be able to use it. And I just realized I probably keep bumping my microphone, so I apologize. All right. The next one, I read the book and I thought it was good, but I have a feeling my kids aren't necessarily going to like it, and that is How to Train Your Dragon by Cressida Cowell. If you've read this book and watched the movie, you know the two are nothing alike. And my kids growing up with the movies, obviously they haven't read the book yet. I have a feeling this could be a case of they'll read the book and go, that was nothing like the movie, what is this? And possibly not even enjoy it because it's so different from the movie. So I don't really feel a need to keep it. Obviously, if they get older and they read the books and they like them, we can buy them. But I'm not holding my breath that that's going to be the case. And I have a lot of books on my shelves. So if it's a book I think my kids aren't necessarily going to enjoy, or there's no reason to keep around, I'm not going to. All right, these next two are ones that I bought for our homeschool, but they're actually duplicates. I already owned a copy and didn't realize it. So the first one is part of the I Survived series, and this is I Survived the Battle of Gettysburg, 1863. I bought it and at some point discovered we have a second copy, so I'm getting rid of this one. And then the other one is By the Great Horn Spoon by Sid Fleischman. And again, I bought this one or realized we had a second copy, and I like the other copy better, so I'm getting rid of this one. All right, the last of these books are ones, for the most part, that my kids have decided they don't have an interest in anymore. The first one is My First Book of Planets. We have a couple other books on space that my kids enjoy more, so I'm getting rid of this one. Then we have Different Like Me by, I'm just going to hold the book up because I'm going to butcher that name. but it's right up here. But this is a picture book about how God made us all different. God made us all special. But my kids just don't have an interest in it anymore, so we're getting rid of that one. This one I know is a lot of people's favorites growing up, but my kids have decided they're not interested anymore, and that is Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise Brown. I probably should know that, but I don't. I'm sorry, I didn't grow up reading this book. Everybody loves this book. It's a classic, but I didn't grow up reading it, so I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the name. We read this a few times, but my kids were never overly interested in it, and when I went through the picture books and said, pick out what you want to keep, nobody wanted this one, so it's going. Then we have, this is an older book, Where Did My Mother Go? By Edna Mitchell Preston. This is one I'm not familiar with. I don't even remember where we got it from. But again, my kids have no interest in it, so we're just going to pass it on. And this last one I actually bought for our homeschool, but I thought I was going to enjoy this version of the book, and I didn't. And that is The Three Billy Goats Gruff by Mac Barnett. And this is the Billy Goats Gruff told from the point of view of the troll rather than the goats. And it wasn't a bad version of the book, but I wasn't as fond of it as I am some other versions of the Three Billy Goats, so we're just going to pass that one on. All right, those are all of the kids' books that we're getting rid of, so now we're going to move on to Christian nonfiction. And with all of these books, there's nothing wrong with the books. For the most part, it's just I read them, I got what I got out of them, I don't feel a need to hold on to them anymore. So, the first two I actually haven't read at all, and they were free books, so I'm actually tempted to just donate these to my church, because that would probably be a better place for them to go. But that is Hearts of Fire and When Faith is Forbidden, 40 Days on the Front Lines with Persecuted Christians. These are both sold by Voice of the Martyrs, or in this particular case, given away by Voice of the Martyrs. And I've had them on my shelves for a while and just never felt drawn to pick them up. I did read Tortured for Christ that they put out, but I've never read these two. So I feel like I can just pass these on to someone else and they might get something out of it. And again, since I got them for free, I could donate them to my church and my church could pass them on to people who would be interested in them. All right, the next three are all by the same person. They're all by Michael W. Smith, which is my husband's favorite Christian music artist. A lot of these books are ones that my husband actually owned, but he's not a reader, and so he was like, if you want to get rid of some of them, it's fine. So I pulled these books out. I said, I read them. I personally wouldn't feel a need to keep them. And he said, I'm not going to read them. It's fine. Get rid of them. So in case anybody thinks I'm stealing these away from my husband, I am not. But I have three books by Michael W. Smith. We have Your Place in This World, The Price of Freedom, and It's Time to Be Bold. Again, I read all three of these, and they were good books, but it's not something that I'm going to reread, so they're going to go. And one of them I even bought for my husband, and he never read it, so. All right, the next one is Two Hearts Praying as One by Dennis and Barbara Rainey. Again, I've read this one. It was good, but it's not one I'm going to reread. And the next one is God Speaks Devotional, and this is, you can see the billboard on the cover. That's basically what this entire, or part of what this book is. So it'll have one of those billboard things at the top, and then it'll go into it. I read this. It was a good book. I enjoyed it at the time that I read it, but again, not something I'm ever going to reread, so it's going to go. And the next two are by another popular Christian writer, and that is Max Lucado. And by him, I have No Wonder They Call Him Savior and Facing Your Giants. Another case of I read them, they were good, I got out of them what I got out of them at the time, but not going to reread them. You've seen a theme here. All right, next one is Principles of Spiritual Growth by Miles J. Stanford. Same case as the others. Read it, liked it, not going to reread it. And the last one, if I can get a hold of it, is The Most Important Place on Earth by Robert Wolgemuth. I don't know how to say that. Well, the information that was in this book was good, but honestly, this one was kind of boring to read. I struggled to get through this one because it was just very dry. So definitely not going to be one that I reread. All right, and now we're going to move on to the fiction books, although the first one here probably should have been with the kids' books, but I kind of forgot it. So the first one is Many Waters by Madeleine L'Engle. This is the fourth book in the Wrinkle in Time series, I guess you could say. It follows the twin brothers of the main character from A Wrinkle in Time and takes place during the time of the flood. Like the boys end up traveling back in time to the time of Noah's Ark and the flood. That's really all I know about it for the most part. But when I did my bookshelf tour, somebody commented and said, you may not really want to read that one. So I started doing some research on it and discovered that it deals with a lot. It's not just a coming of age. It's like a sexual coming of age, apparently. Or I guess maybe more of a sexual awakening. But I think more so in the vein of, oh, we're preteen boys and we're going through puberty and, oh, that's what that means. But personally, doesn't sound like something I'm interested in reading. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this one. I'm still keeping the other 3 books in the series, but I'm not going to keep this one. Oh, where to go from here? Okay, so I made a comment in, I think it was my 2024 goals video, that I'm wanting to buy fewer books this year, and I decided if I buy a book and get rid of it in the same year, it doesn't count against me. So we're going to talk about the books that I bought that I've decided not to keep. So the first one is A Christmas Blizzard by Garrison Keillor. I never know how to say those names when it's EI. It depends on the origin. But there was a blurb on the bottom of this one that said, A Christmas Blizzard has clear parallels to Dickens' A Christmas Carol, except it's nuttier. And so I thought, okay, something akin to the Christmas Carol that's supposed to be funnier or nuttier, as they put it. That sounds like it could be fun. But then after I got home and was looking stuff up on it, there were a lot of people talking about this really wasn't funny, this was kind of boring. I don't even remember all the reviews anymore, but basically what I was seeing, it didn't live up to what this said. It didn't even necessarily fit what that said. So I decided, you know what, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a book I'm going to enjoy, so we're just going to get rid of this one. And this was a library book sale book, so I got this for like $1. And I think all but one of these books was actually from a library book sale. The one that wasn't, I got it at a thrift store, and it was 35 cents instead of 25. So, all right, the next one is Hard Times by Charles Dickens. And it's not that I don't have an interest in reading Charles Dickens, but I already have 2 of his books on my shelves that I haven't read. And this one is very much a used copy. I mean, it has used stamped on the side. It's got stickers all over the back. So I decided, you know what, I'll pass on this one for now. I'll read the 2 that are on my shelves. If I like them and want more books by him, I will go find other copies of them. But it doesn't make sense to have a copy on my shelf that I'm figuring if I read it and enjoy it, I'm probably going to buy a new copy anyway. Let's see if I like his books before I buy more of them. So this one's going to go. All right, the next 3 are kind of a disappointment, but they are 3 books by, what's his name, Richard Paul Evans. And they're all part of a series. We have The Christmas Box, Timepiece, and The Letters. And I have seen the movies for The Christmas Box and Timepiece. I don't know if there's a movie for The Letters or not. And I really enjoyed the 2 movies. So I found these at a library book sale, got them for $0.25 a piece, and they are brand new. Like, I try to open these books and okay, somebody put newspaper in here, but there's resistance. Like, these books do not just flop open. They have not been read. The only one that opens easily is The Letters, but it's an autographed copy. So it was literally opened up to be signed. I don't even know where the signature is now. So I probably skipped over it. Yep. So it was opened up to be signed. But other than that, it's very stiff. So these are basically brand new books. And I got them for $0.25 a piece. But as I went to log them into my computer, again, doing research on the books as I go to catalog them, and discovered that the author is Mormon. I am not Mormon. I am Protestant. And knowing that he's a Mormon, it's like, okay, I could read these books, but I have to read them very closely to make sure whatever theology he puts in here agrees with my beliefs and so on. And that doesn't ever sound like fun. You have to be discerning with Christian fiction anyway, but already going in knowing that this is written by someone you don't agree with doesn't sound like the best time to me. So unfortunately, I will pass these on, but somebody else can enjoy getting brand new books. And the last one is part of a series that I have been buying books in, but I haven't read any of them yet. And that is Prince of Darkness by Sharon K. Penman. And I know that sounds like a horrible title to the Christians who are watching this video. But this is a medieval mystery series. I don't know anything else about it. I just know they're medieval mysteries. But this is the 4th book in the series, and I owned the first 2. And when I found this at a thrift store, I mean, I could tell there was plastic on it, and it was a library edition. But I thought, that's no big deal. I've taken off the plastic from books before. I've figured out how to do that without damaging them. So I'll just remove it when I get home, and then I'll just have a nice hardback of it. And it cost me 35 cents. But I got home and discovered, oh no, it's not plastic. It's laminate. There's no removing that. And again, I haven't even read the first 2 books in the series, and I don't own the 3rd book. So this is the 4th one. It could be a while before I get to it, if I even enjoy the series. So I decided, you know what, I'll just pass this one on. If I read the first 2 books and like it, I'll buy a different copy later. But I'm not going to worry about keeping this one. Yes, I'm being picky about my books. All right, I believe the rest of these are just regular fiction that I've decided I don't have an interest in keeping. So we're going to go through this stack over here because I have 4 books by the same author. So, again, I'm probably going to upset some people, but they're all by Julie Clausen. And I have 1 book by her still on my shelves. That is the only one that I'm keeping. I've read 3 of these books and I DNF'd the 4th one. So let's just talk about these books one by one, especially because that's heavy. So the first one is The Secret of Pembroke Park. I read this one a few years ago, and I liked the book up until the ending. I get what she was trying to do with the ending, but it was just a bit of a letdown for me. So I kept the book because I liked most of the story, and I loved the first book that I read by her, which is The Maid of Fairborn Hall, the one that's still on my shelves. And so I thought, well, this was still a good book. I'm just not as thrilled with the ending. So I went ahead and kept it for a while. And then around the same time, I also read The Dancing Master. This one was okay. This one I call a combination of Footloose meets Pollyanna. This is a town where dancing has been banned by a woman who has enough power to run the town. So she's Aunt Polly from Pollyanna in that she runs the town. It's Footloose in that dancing has been banned. But it takes place in the Regency era because that's when all of her books take place. And this book I thought was okay. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I don't know that it's one I would reread. And then last year or the year before, I read Shadows of Swanford Abbey. And this one was like Secret of Pembroke Park. I really enjoyed it until the end. There were a couple of things that wrapped up just a little too nice and neat for my liking. And there was a scene between 2 characters where they had to discuss something one of the characters was concerned about the other character's reaction to. And it ended up being, oh yeah, it's fine, I believe you, no big deal. And the scene was over in about 2 sentences. And I thought, for something that we had been building up about in this book, that, oh, this could be a problem, I don't know how this is going to go, it was over way too fast. So, again, I liked the book, but the ending was kind of a letdown. Literally the last 1 or 2 chapters was a letdown for me. So then earlier this year, I picked up The Painter's Daughter. And I thought, I really like Julie Clausen books. So I should like this one. And I was going into this one and just thinking, this is okay. This is a Marriage of Convenience book. But I just wasn't enjoying it. And I think part of it is because you get both characters' perspectives and the whole, I have feelings or think I have feelings for this person, but I can't talk about them because we agreed that this was just a marriage for practical purposes. There's not going to be any romance involved in it, so nobody wants to talk, was very, very frustrating. And I was like, I normally like her books. Why can I not get into this one? And it suddenly dawned on me. I loved one book. I loved The Maid of Fairborn Hall. This one, the ending was disappointing. This one was okay. And this one, the ending was disappointing. And now I'm reading a book where it's okay. And I realized I don't actually love Julie Clausen's books. I liked one. I loved one book. And the rest have been good until the ending or just okay throughout. So I decided I'm just going to get rid of the books that I didn't love, keep the one that I did, and I've even reread it and I still loved it, so we're keeping that one. But the rest of these are going to go. It was a long tangent on one book, or one set of books. All right, the next one, some of you are probably, hold on, I missed a book. Okay, and I actually have one more book that I bought earlier this year and then decided I'm not going to keep. So we'll plug that one in here. That is this book called The Outlanders by David B. Coe. This is book 2 of the Lon Tobin Chronicle. I think that's how that's said. You guys can try to read that and find out. I don't even know if that focused. Sorry. But I bought this. I think this one actually cost me $1. At the library that I bought it from. I thought, yeah, it's an older fantasy, but I'll give it a try. But the fact that it's book 2 means I'd have to buy book 1. And after I got home and started reading up on book 1, I thought, I don't know if I'm actually interested enough in reading this book or reading the series in general to warrant having this book and going out and buying the first book. So I'm just going to pass on this for now. Obviously, if any of you have read this and you think it's a really good series, you can let me know and I might change my mind and at least give this series a try. But for now, I don't think it's one I'm going to be interested in. All right, this is one that might get me some flack on here, but I'm getting rid of Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I read this one a few years ago and it was good. I didn't love it the way a lot of other people did, but it was at least an enjoyable read. Lenin is definitely my favorite character by far. And while the story was good, it did feel like it was much longer than it needed to be. I think I've heard that Tolstoy's books were kind of like Dickens' books where they were released in serials and papers. And so they were oftentimes longer because the more entries you can put into, or the more segments or chapters you can put into the paper, the more money you make. But it did feel like it was a bit longer than it needed to be. And again, I like the story, but as I've thought about it, I don't think it's one I'm going to reread. And I don't know for sure if this is one I would even assign to my kids when they're in high school because it's such a big book. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Obviously, if I decide to do it for school or something, I can buy a copy later. But these are pretty easy to find and pretty easy to come by. So I'm not too concerned, but I don't feel a need to keep it at this point. So the next two I'm going to be getting rid of are a duology, and that is this one here called The Ethical Chiang Mai Detective Agency. And the first book is Murder at the House of Rooster Happiness, and the second is The Missing Guest of the Magic Grove Hotel. I enjoyed the first book. This is a mystery series set in Thailand. And we follow a woman who is a nurse ethicist, I think is how you pronounce that. She basically makes sure that the hospital is doing things ethically, that the patients are getting the best treatment they can get, that they're as comfortable as they can be, etc. Although it really seems to be a job that even she isn't exactly sure how to define and what her exact parameters of the job are. But in the first book, there are, I almost feel like there's a series of murders, but maybe there's not. Maybe it's just one. But a detective ends up showing up, and I don't remember how the hospital ends up getting involved in this, but it ends up having something to do with them. A detective shows up, and she starts getting involved trying to figure things out and help him figure the case out. Like I said, I liked the first book. It wasn't an absolute favorite. It wasn't 5 stars, but it was a really good book, I thought. But I started the second book last year, and I was struggling to get into it to begin with. And then I started reading some reviews to see, is it worth continuing on with or not? And what I started finding out about the end of the book made me go, I'm good. So I ended up DNFing the second book. And even though I enjoyed the first book, I'm not sure I would reread it. And it doesn't feel necessary to keep both books when I'm not going to continue or finish the series. I don't know if this was originally supposed to be more than 2 books or not, but only 2 books have been released, and at this point, I would assume there won't be any more. All right, and this next one should probably come as no surprise if you saw my unpopular opinions book tag, but it is The Curse of Misty Wayfarer by Jamie Jo Wright. I picked this book up a year or 2 ago, I think it was 2 years ago, and tried to read it, but the ghost part of this story, where the ghost feels way too real, was causing me anxiety problems. I had bad anxiety problems in 2022 for some reason. I don't know why. And this book was not helping that at all. But I was borrowing it through one of my library apps and gave up on it because of the anxiety issues. And last year I ended up buying the book thinking if I have a physical copy, I'm more likely to pick it up and try it again. But I just can't bring myself to read a ghost story. I don't care how it's going to turn out at the end. My brain does not compute how things are potentially going to turn out and just goes, but this is what we're reading on the page. So I'm just going to pass on this one. All right, we're almost to the end. So the next one is The Enchanted Sonata by Heather Dixon. And this one kind of hurts a little to get rid of. First of all, that cover is gorgeous. But I read this one last year. This is a Nutcracker retelling. And honestly, again, like some of these other books, it was just okay. The plot felt fairly predictable. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot completely new. It's kind of the Nutcracker meets the Pied Piper. And that part was interesting, but I don't know. I just didn't enjoy the book enough to warrant keeping it. I really liked Entwined by her. I still want to buy Illusionarium by her. But unfortunately, this one I didn't really enjoy as much. So it's going to go. All right. And the last book on the list is a bit of a chunker. It's Little Women. Okay, it's 3 novels, I should say, by Louisa May Alcott. This is Little Women, Little Men, and Jo's Boys. And the reason I'm getting rid of this one is because I bought this after reading Little Women because I loved that book. It's one of my all-time favorite classics. And I hadn't read Little Men or Jo's Boys yet. So I thought, why not buy the bind-up and I can read all of them. But I didn't overly care for Little Men and Jo's Boys. It just didn't work for me the way this book did. So I ended up buying a different edition of Little Women that's on my bookshelves. You probably saw that in the bookshelf tour if you watched that video. And I don't feel the need to keep this bind up anymore. So this one's going to go. So those are all of the books I'm planning to get rid of soon. Honestly, there were more books than I thought there were going to be if you'd asked me a couple months ago. I feel like I go through my shelves regularly enough that I shouldn't have that much to get rid of at any one time, but yet every so often they pile up like this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit like and subscribe down below to see more content from me. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you later.